Alright, let's see how my little YouTube channel is doing. Only 800 subscribers. I mean, it's not bad. I don't really do much. What are all these views from? Oh, I'm making a sequel. Why, hello, Internet! My name is Prunk, and I am the self-proclaimed best WWE 2K25 MyGM player in the world that's not named Diamond Lobby. But he doesn't stream very often anymore, so I am probably the best player now. And we're going to go over my GM mode tips for WWE 2K25. So I know this is not the typical top 10 best tricks ever kind of list. I'm not that kind of YouTuber. I am very in depth and I try to explain things as clearly as I can. I am not a professional at this at any means. I'm just some guy who really likes my GM mode and can try and offer his wisdom. So hopefully it does benefit you guys, the players. I am a nobody YouTuber, so I would love some support if possible. So feel free to like and subscribe this video. The first video I did of this was incredible. Got a lot from 2K, and I gained a little bit of a fan base, so I do appreciate it very much also. If you want to see a full playthrough, that is what I'm going to be working on next as I'm sitting here, but it'll be on a different video. Also, I am planning on doing more story-focused universe mode stuff, so I'm not just going to be playing through. I'm really going to focus on telling a story through universe mode. That's probably going to come out around WrestleMania time. So keep an eye out for that. If you are interested in that, please subscribe. I love telling stories. I'm a D&D nerd as well, so like you'll see me make a good story with I'm going to basically be booking the best shows I possibly can from week to week and tell a story for each of those characters. So I'm excited to try that and see how well it does. I'm really inspired by Adam Blampier's like just booking what series. But I want to try and up them and say I'm going to book a show. So this is me booking my show series kind of going. But other than that, I'm also going to be doing more challenge runs. I'm going to be doing a lot of playthroughs for my GM mode. I have a full-time job, so I don't get to do this too often. Mondays are usually my off days, so you'll see me record mostly on those days. Might try a live stream or two, see how that goes, and just so that way I can answer questions live for you guys. If you want to see that kind of content, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. But I've done enough admin. Let's get you into the tips. Let's get you into the gameplay. This is why you guys clicked on the video. All right, so one of the biggest things I'm going to stress is the game is a marathon, not a sprint. So you've heard me say that if you watch the previous videos, but you'll hear me say that a lot. In our first set, I was behind most of the season until like some of the final stretches. So we are only ahead by about 50,000 fans here at the end of season one. And that is completely fine. You are going to be crawling your way up if you're playing on extreme mode a lot of the time, just because you are putting on normal matches, you're putting on jobbers because you're trying to like fix your stamina as best you can. So don't be afraid if you are falling behind. You can make those gaps up with power cards at the right time. You can make them up with a lot of extra charity promos when you know you're behind, and you can make it up by putting on massive PLEs with huge benefits. Those PLEs are going to be the big shifters. You're probably going to lose week to week, but you will probably win on your PLEs if you prepared correctly at least. At the end of the second season, you kind of see the gap widening up a little bit more. Now instead of 50,000 ahead, I'm at about 150,000 ahead, so we are doing really well here. We also start to see dips in the week to week where we're starting to lose fans each week, but so are they. So there will be a point where you start to lose fans and you're kind of competing to make sure you're holding on to them. The fans don't constantly just go up, 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 up very easily. And you'll kind of see that in your later playthroughs as well. But we're up by about 150,000 fans as well here. And then as we go into the end of season 3, we are about 500,000 fans ahead. So the gap has crazy widened where I can't lose at that point. I'm confident we're both at 9 trophies here between me and Ava, but there is no way they're making up a 500,000 gap difference. And that goes all the way until we go into our final match where I'm about 300,000. So I do start to fall down a little bit. But as I was kind of saying, you start to lose fans every week after a certain point. It's really hard to keep your fan count high. So we're all losing like 20, 30,000 fans. And if it wasn't for my PLEs, I probably wouldn't have broken the 5 million fan mark. It gets tough near the end. For sure, you're constantly losing fans. And that gap was definitely starting to shorten once I broke the 5 million fan base. If you are brand new to my GM mode, then a lot of these tricks are going to be really for you. If you have played last year's, then a lot of them at the end are going to be mostly for you. So I'm going to get the big ones out of the way just to make sure that players are going to be really familiar with themselves. So if you are an experienced player and you played us last year, then these beginning tips are probably not for you, but it's still a good refresher, and just we'll go over some small caveats and changes that have happened from WWE 2K24. So there is the local and online. I'm sure you guys know about that already. We don't need to spend too much time, but we're going to go over some of the GMs and some of the extra benefits. We have a lot more options for characters. When you are playing on extreme mode, it is probably a good idea to look at some of these GMs and say, who do I not want to face against? Same thing when it comes to picking the brand. If it's your first time playing, you can pick random people, but there are people that will directly affect your game where they are actively hurting you, and their power cards are pretty powerful. And so in extreme mode, I don't usually want to deal with those people. Some people to watch out for as a MyGM that you don't want to usually face are going to be people like, we don't want to ever face Xavier Woods. He is going to steal one of your best people, and money is very important. So being down a man, especially at week 2, is horrible. Theodore Long, he removes all match bonuses, plus set match bonuses to opposing brands. I don't really want to deal with that as well. It's a pretty big impact. There's this very similar power card in that is for winning PLEs. I don't often want to deal with it, so he's pretty bad to face. Special Counsel, that's not a big deal. His ECW brand for Paul Heyman is in stream. We'll go over that. Power of the Punch, this card. Select opposing brand. All superstars on the roster lose 10 popularity. Not something I often want to play. That's not a fun thing for me to deal with, so I'm not going to do that. Cactus Jack, Mick Foley is probably one of the worst players or GMs to face against. I just don't want to deal with this. This is injure 5 superstars, or possibly injure possible superstars if they are put on the show. In the early game, this is devastating because you probably don't have 5 superstars that you can just bench. So somebody's going to get hurt. And the way their injuries have worked, I've seen somebody get injured for 9 weeks. I don't know how to deal with that. So we're going to just not put against Mick Foley. Eric Bischoff's not that bad. He's pretty fine to go against. Double all the show logistics. That's something that's buffing him, not hurting you. Ava's completely fine. Prevent all superstars in your brand from being injured. That's not a bad power card either. But again, it helps her, not hurts you. Nick Aldis is pretty strong, I think. 2 times per season. Add 10 weeks to a contract's duration. It's pretty nice, especially because money is huge. And doing this twice is really cool. And it's also not directly towards, like, it just adds 10 weeks to a contract specifically. So being able to do this anytime is really nice. Especially if you're putting like legends early on. Heartbreaker, select opposing brand. This is another thing you don't want to deal. So anytime they say opposing brand, you just don't want to face them usually because they're going to hurt you, and that card is always going to be played against you, the player. Select an opposing brand. Sherry again. We don't want to deal with that. Mega Power, superstar on the brand immediately max out their popularity, stamina, and morale. For Mega Power, really cool effect. I like it. This is a character that I've considered playing with a lot. CM Punk, reduce the fan retention of all opposing brands. Why would I want to face that? No, that's not fun. Salty, 2 times a week, triple the cost of all opposing brands. No, thank you, Mr. Fuji. And Armando Alejandro Estrada, 2 times per season, all superstars on your brand who win their matches. Something that doesn't directly affect you. I feel bad. I don't know who this guy is. I'm going to have to research and see who he is. So these are the GMs. You typically want to put in somebody that is going to benefit you or benefit themselves for your opponents. You just don't want to do anything that's going to affect your brand. Extreme mode is already hard enough. If you're playing on normal, then you can throw in whoever. It's probably more fun to do random if I was ever doing that, but I don't want to deal with it. And finally, we got custom superstar. You can put whoever you want. Select a superstar on your roster and increase their level to 20. So character levels actually matter a lot more in this game. That I've noticed because of the PLEs, and we'll go over that more in detail, but this is actually, custom superstar is pretty nice actually. So Xavier is probably my personal favorite, just being able to snag a guy. I also do really like the Tyler Breeze is probably my other favorite. I usually jump between which one do I like better. Breeze is always strong, just giving all your characters superstars 12 stamina is really nice. Miss Elizabeth is pretty cool as well, just giving a massive power boost to somebody. Like, my mindset is it maxed out their popularity, stamina, and morale. This is somebody I'm going to put on like a jobber and just see them skyrocket, I think is kind of neat. I think that's probably one of the better ways to do that, but after you burn up their stamina. So really cool card. I think she's going to be one of my favorites as well. I'm going to play with her for sure. In fact, and some of these others, they're like Ava's not bad. She's not somebody I really want to play around to prevent all superstars from Rand being injured. I usually don't get my stamina that low and I have to worry about that, but it's nice that you can do it twice, and if you are in a pinch, it's pretty cool. Paul Heyman promos this week are free and have the results doubled. I have noticed that charity promos are definitely nerfed, and they're only getting like 6,000 fans on like a 4-star promo. So like this, I don't think is going to be as impactful as it could have been from last season as well. So I'm gonna probably make a tier list eventually if people want that, but I think as of right now, I'm gonna go with Miss Elizabeth. I like her idea of being on the power card, and now we'll kind of talk about the brands. So brands, SmackDowns, give 6 superstars on your roster. They have popularity +6. That's a pretty good one in my opinion. That's the one I often opt into. Raw, select opposing brands. They get 5 superstars that can't be booked. This is a card I'm often not going to play against Raw because, again, they are actively hurting me on extreme mode. So it's not something I want to deal with. Fighting Champion title matches booked this week will get a big boost. There's a lot of belts on the show. This is a great one. It's only a one-time boost, but hey, this can be a big ratings boost. NXT 2.0, probably my second favorite, or possibly the first. Reduce the price of next three superstars you purchase this week by 50%. One big tip, and we'll go over into the contract section, is you can make sure you can adjust to buy somebody for the full season with the power card. This power card, that makes a huge difference on how much money you're spending. If you are playing NXT 2.0, it is often a good idea to save like 400,000 in your draft and then play this power card week 1 and just get a massive amount of people. NXT Mutiny is the new one. Collect all full contract price for the next 3 superstars you fire this week. So the best way I see this is in challenge runs. This is probably one of the better ones to have in a challenge run. Like, so if I'm playing jobbers only and I sign, like, I have to buy 8 people or something at the beginning anyways, getting the full price contract on them is pretty cool. But I don't know the practical uses of this unless somebody just has crazy bad morale and I know they're going to ask me for like 100k and I'm not using them anyways. I don't like this power card personally, but it's fine to put as opposing brand. ECW, I will never face. Block all opposing brands from using 3 randomly selected champions on next week's show. This is brutal. This was originally brutal in 2K24. I think it's as bad now because you are often playing this on the week before your PLE now. So, because you're trying to blow off all your rivalries on week 4 instead of 5, and that is a huge difference with MyGM mode this time. Classically trained WCW, extend the duration of all contracts. That's fine. I can face against that. So I'm gonna go with NXT 2.0 because I think it's the best one I can showcase to you guys and kind of give you a good tip on how to play that. And then as far as the week to week, we're just gonna go CPU, and I'm just gonna pick somebody else right now. We'll do Tyler Breeze is fine, and we'll do SmackDown. So we'll have this little feud for it now. So I always play extreme mode. The big thing with extreme now though is it is no longer 4 matches in the mid-card, or 4 matches total. There are 3 mid-card matches, your opener, and your main event. This was a very pleasant change that I did not see anybody really advertise. I think this is sweet, and the game does give you a lot more money to play around with in order to play with your cards, and superstars are much cheaper. So the game wants you to fill up your roster a lot more than in previous titles. So I'm really excited about that and being able to have a nice big roster. So on extreme mode, 3 mid cards. On hard and normal mode, you got 2 mid cards, and then on easy, you're just playing with 1 mid card. So I love extreme mode because having a fuller roster is really nice. Win condition, you can do fans or Hall of Fame trophies. Before it was Hall of Fame trophies, now I just do fans. But after you get 10 Hall of Fame trophies, apparently that kicks in the final retirement for it all. So it takes 10 trophies basically to win. Usually that takes about 4 seasons. I ended up finishing at 4 seasons, like 12 or 13. I showed you at the beginning. I forgot already. Opening budget, I'm always going to play with the lowest amount of money just because it's a little bit more challenging, but I think the default is $32.50. I think that is completely fine. This can get you an extra 1 or 2 extra superstars. So if you are struggling with money, then that's totally fine, but I'm going to show you on the hardest difficulty settings just so that way you can adjust this. And if it's I'd rather show you the hardest way, and you can take these tips into making it easier on other titles or other settings. Player default order. I personally like snake order. I think it's the most fair way to do it, but we're just going to go with default for now. Shakeups, we are going to just keep those on because I think they make a lot of fun elements to the game. It does randomize things a little bit more, but I think that's more fun it just gives you some new ways to play for that week. Draft pool, default, or customize your pool. I have noticed some things I want to change in the custom pool for sure, but we're just going to do default for now. Auto draft, you never. Why would you? If you're playing a GM mode, don't ever do auto draft. Draft your roster how you want. That's silly. Match unlocks, I just do a default, but you can do it with all types unlocked if you really want to. Default, I think, is fine. Booking timer, there is now a timer. I'm going to try I think the final challenge that I'm going to do with my GM mode is going to end up being booking timer, 1 minute, permadeath mode of losing 100% of your fans. That is going to be my big thing, and if I get if I break over 1,000 subscribers, then I think that's going to be my go-to. So that is if you guys get me to 1,000, that is going to be my gift to you. We're going to have a 1 minute GM mode, extreme mode. I was a world leader in my GM mode speed runs. So let's see if I can do it with a minute timer on each thing. So we are going to go into the draft. So the first thing in the draft is, especially if you're playing default, you're only getting 1 pick at a time, so it is a little trickier. In priority, I'm always going to prioritize, I would say, probably stamina and star power in the early parts. You also always want to make sure that you are drafting the same Pokemon types. And what I mean by that is, if I draft Drew McIntyre, who is a red bruiser, so he is a heal and he's a bruiser character, I'm always going to want to just try and draft more red bruisers, and I want to get green fighters. And the reason is because when you're in the middle of your week scheduling, after this feud so let's say I get Orton and Drew McIntyre right away. After that feud is settled, I don't want to have to hunt down another fighter and then spend a week doing a role change to make him a heel or a face, just so that way I can have McIntyre facing off against somebody. So in your draft, you always want to make it consistent of what you are drafting and try and build your rosters around that. So if you really like Drew McIntyre, he's your red bruiser, try and get, say, let's just go with like Xavier Woods, who is another red bruiser. So you're always going to want to draft the same Pokemon type. The next thing I'm going to prioritize is their stamina. So you want star power because, so Becky Lynch is a 15, Randy Orton's 20, Drew is a 15. So that star power is how many fans can they draw you. And you usually want to put people in the 20 or 15 in your main event and opening match. This is a lot more important this set that I've noticed than 2K25 24 was. Before, I didn't feel like the star rating really mattered other than just getting perks. But it is definitely noticeable, and especially in the PLEs, how many people you can draw to your brand is much more important. So pay attention to this. You want to get at least a male and female in the 20s to set up your brand. The other thing is, and in the past, Giants have always given a bigger star boost, Giants and Cruisers, so I always prioritize Giants in my draft in comparison, especially on the female side, because there are a lot less female Giants. So, we got Charlotte and Jade, who are by default, 2 green Giants. But if we look at, red Giants, the next furthest down is Nia Jax, and she's not a very high, value character. So first pick Charlotte is is so far what I'm thinking every single time. And we got Piper, and so that's 4 Giants. The whole roster is here. We have 5 Giants with Raquel, but this is actually a custom one I just downloaded. So okay, we're gonna skip that Raquel. And so 4. Yeah, we got 4 Giants in the female pool. So you're probably gonna want to get a female Giant right away. I know I was just saying, hey, I would prioritize getting somebody in the 15s, but there's so many people in 15s and 20s that you can get pretty easily in our draft. Charlotte being a Giant, she is and with such a high stamina cost, she is my first round draft pick, I think, for sure. And I can focus on getting a red cruiser in the female side as well. Oh yeah, we're only playing 2, I forgot. So now with a red cruiser, I can pick out, okay, well, Charlotte needs an opponent. We need another red cruiser. I could probably get another. I should probably actually pick up this Jade because she is another green Giant. And since there's only 2 other green Giants in this draft, I don't want to risk it. So I'm going to go with that. And now that I have claimed my Giants for the female side, we are going to go back and be, okay, well, let's look at the big matches now. All right, so Cody Rhodes still here, Specialist. I don't usually draft Specialists unless they're super cheap. So Cody, unfortunately, as much as I love the guy, he's not going to be my pick. We are going to grab a... Let's see. There's a lot of bruisers, not too many high-cost fighters. So Randy Orton is definitely going to be our pick. And then, so Drew didn't get picked. So now I have my main event set up for my men's. I kind of have my main event set up for my women's, but I could probably do better. We are going to... So right now, Charlotte is my main eventer. I can go with Liv, who's only 10. I don't think there's a 15... Yeah, Naomi is a 15 cruiser, which wouldn't be bad. Candice is 15. Why does Candice have more ring power and star power than Charlotte Flair and Jade? I don't know. Let's find 15. Scarlett. Oh, perfect. Yeah, Scarlett is cheap too. She's low in popularity, but that doesn't matter that much. So Scarlett at being at a 15 ring power is weird. But she is a red cruiser with a high stamina who basically matches Charlotte Flair. I can basically have this match every single week. So we're going to go with that. So we're looking at the stamina cost. We're looking at their star power. And so here, I definitely noticed that my women's side is lacking a bit more than I really want. We're going to go with Liv, I think, but I kind of want to do maybe if I can get a Asuka at 15. Her popularity is still a little light, but just the women's side of the things are different. I am going to get Liv first, and hopefully that Asuka's there next turn. Okay, cool. He went for the bigger. And so we're going to go with Asuka and try and get that Bianca. And that's going to kind of fill up my main event people that I'm getting, because we're getting kind of low. We're at about 10k. In fact, actually, with that said, I'm actually just going to go down and start getting a couple bruisers. So Asuka is a heel fighter, so I need to find a green bruiser who's not that down the card. Ivy's pretty down. Nia, that's a good amount of stamina as well. Nikita Lyons might not be a bad option considering her cost. Yeah, let's go with Nikita. And she's got great stamina. I can put her in a bunch of matches, and it's a solid mid-card. And I'm sticking with 6 women off the bat. And from here, I need to fill up the rest of the men. So I go with 6 women, so that way you can go tag team and main event, and then get a couple jobbers to fill in the spots. And then from here for the men, I am going to snag Pat McAfee, who is probably one of the best characters to draft as well. He is so cheap. He is what I quote-unquote call a promo monkey. So when I say that is they have they have a high promo skill, not very popular, but all they're there is to help me draw out fans and help me get some trophies, and so you'll get to see him in action as well. We also are going to need a giant for the men's side. So who's my cheapest giant? Looks like Josh Briggs. So I'm going to grab him and then go for some red cruisers. And so red cruisers were actually not as cheap as I thought. So we're going to go with Carmelo Hayes. Let's see. I'm about 5k. So right from here, I'm just trying to match up the rest of the Pokemon types. So we need red bruisers, which we got Obafemi, who is crazy cheap. We're just filling in our mid card now. And then we can go for another green. Why is he not a giant? So we need a green fighter. Eddie Thorpe is a good option. He's cheap. Let's see. So we're at 7 for the men. Who am I missing? We got Thorpe. We got a match there. Oh, because we got an extra cruiser. We can get a red specialist possibly if we want. Or honestly, I might just save the rest of this money and let's just get a bunch of jobbers, I think is next. Siobhan's not a bad option if I really wanted to. I could go with Wolfgang. I noticed that the AI do like to draft tag teams, and there is a little bit of a boost that you get for having tag teams that are synergized. So they'll say, hey, they make a great tag team, and by default, like Akam and Razor is going to be a synergized tag team because they are an official tag team in Universe mode. But overall, I haven't noticed it matter that much where I'm kind of focused on drafting. So I could draft it probably like a couple more people, but because of my brand, I'm actually not going to bother. NXT 2.0, we're going to spend the last 3,000 of money that we can get on superstars and use our power card a little bit more efficiently. So we're going to let them kind of spend up all their money. And, yep, okay. So that's kind of how I draft. Look for the same Pokemon types. Get your green giants, get your red cruisers. I mean, you can flip it any way you want, but just you always want to make sure that you're drafting players or superstars that are going to match each other. So that way, like when Drew and Randy Orton are done feuding, I have Omafemi here in the background who's a red bruiser ready to go, and hopefully at that point his popularity will be a little bit better, so that way I can get him onto the main event scene. But the nice thing is, it's not something that actually happens in 5 weeks anymore. It's something that often takes about 10 weeks to really solve a rivalry. So it'll be kind of cool to showcase that off. So tonight's the night, WWE show, high hopes for you. I was born for this. Tyler Breeze is going to talk crap against me. And so we're going to pick our champion. So right off the bat, on my main event scene, I want to get people as high its popularity as possible. I usually want to make sure that my champions, like my main eventers, will break 70 popularity. That seems to be the good spot. So Drew breaks 70 with the belt, so we can do that. We do want to stack, even if it's not a ideal tag team, we do kind of want to stack a team together, because this little popularity boost is really important as well to help give you some draw power. And so that's going to be them. Should I just put the belt on McAfee right now? I don't think so. We'll fill it in that spot, somebody, I'm sure. And then for the women, we want to try and break 70, so Charlotte is perfect for that. And then on the female side, we'll have Asuka and Liv. No, Liv's going to end up feuding with Flair, so we'll do this. So now we got our popularity boosts. So immediately from here, if you're not playing NXT 2.0, you'll probably want to fill up your roster with the rookies, or AKA jobbers. This is really important because you want to fill up and just get as many. Like right here, we actually have a matching type too. So we have a red giant, which is counterproductive to our Flair combo, who's a green giant. But we can do a role change if we need to. But considering how cheap these two players are, and they match right off the bat, this is a really good find in our opening match. I will actually buy this and get the contract all the way for 24. So we have a full contract for $22,000. You want to buy jobbers at full seasons because as soon as they start getting a little popular, as soon as their popularity breaks over 30 or 40, they're like, hey, I'm big over my head. I need a $100,000 contract to stay for the rest of the year. And you're like, you were just $20,000 last year or last week. So get the jobbers at a low contract, spend a little bit, and this leaves me with a little over 300K. So oh, shoot. So we have a special promotion card. You typically always want to buy this as well. All right. You should buy this if you ever see this in a shop and make this a top priority. But because I'm just demoing this out and this isn't an actual playthrough, then I'm going to just showcase how to use your fresh meat power card and ignore that. And if I doubt I'll have enough money for that later, but we'll see. So with NXT 2.0 specifically, we are going to spend a little bit more on our talent, and I'm not going to go too hard. We're going to go with 2 renowned stars and 1 established star. Okay, so here again I am trying to match up our Pokemon types. So we have a red specialist. That's nice. We have a red specialist. This is somebody that McAfee can fight actually when I need to fill in the spot. So he is actually an auto include, I think. And oh, I gotta pay. Did I use my power card? Okay, I did use my power card. See, they're expensive. And let's get him till the end of the season. So 105. Okay, he's a little bit more expensive than I wanted. And then I could probably do... I can match these as well. We have red bruisers. I think this is actually perfect, too. If we go Sonya. Who's my female bruiser? Green bruiser. So that's a little undesirable, but it's not the end of the world. And it's going to be way cheaper. It looks... It's not even that much cheaper than Bianca. But she has way more stamina. We can do a role change at any time if we need to. But do I go with Dakota Kai, 52 popularity, 79 stamina, versus 55 popularity, 74 stamina? It is about 5,000 cheaper. They're both same. I think Dakota is just a better option here. And she's a little bit more expensive. And then we will get the last one for Sonya, and we'll spend what we need to. Unfortunately, she is going to be only a 5-week contract, but that's okay. So, unfortunately, not able to buy that power card, but hey, this is the 2.0 thing. That's just bad luck. So, we got a lot. for our money right now. We have a roster of about 17 people, and we can fill this in as we need. So first things first, you want to put your champions in your opening match. We're going to put that and that. So it doesn't really matter who's the opener, who's the closer. You can do whatever. I just grab the first person that has the highest popularity, often is my opener. And the second most popular is usually my main event. It's just because I grab them conveniently then and there. We're going to want our next most popular. So when you're booking your mid card, ideally you need it as a curve that goes up, down, up, down, up on a 5-player thing. So we want our next best, our most popular match, preferably in the mid card of who we think is going to be in our mid. So this is going to be our next match. And then our men's mid card is definitely lower on the popularity perspective. So we can do something like that. And then from here, let's give our jobbers a bit of... We should probably put Sonya into... Sonya is only here for 5 weeks, so let's try and boost that. And if we can make that a feud until the end of the season, then awesome. And in the meantime, so... Liv Morgan's supposed to cut a promo this week. What do I get? We are flipping this around. Okay, hold on. So... This promo card is special, so is network special. No matter what the case, you are 100% always should go for this as a top priority promo card. Network special is probably the best promo card you can get. That's a normal promo card. That's not a main event thing. Special promotion is the other one that you should always prioritize as well. So because of that, we are going to... This is where you have to be adaptable. Like now I wanted Charlotte Flair in this main event scene, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So I'm going to put my jobbers in here. We're not going to, and we're going to flip what we thought was going to be our best card match in the middle, where that's going to end up being our opener. This is easily going to be worse than our opening match as well. So it's going to go up, down, hopefully up a little, hopefully up. It should go up. And then this is a kind of a nobody match as well. That one actually, it's not for a title, so it may actually outperform our mid card, but it's definitely not going to outperform our main event. So you were just looking at, hey, 10-10 popularity. Actually, I'm pretty sure. I think this would actually be a better match. I could be wrong, but based on their popularity and based on their star power, I think this is a better match. So we're going to put that in our mid card. And then for Liv, we are going to do a call out on Flair. And we're going to check our challenges next. So challenges, there's a lot of them. And you are going to want to make sure that you are collecting this and making a conscious effort of it. So book 10 shows with a call out. Perfect. We are booking Liv to do so. Renew this contract of 5 superstars. That's going to come pretty naturally, I feel. This is start 5 rivalries using a run-in. That shouldn't be too bad. Book 10 shows with advertisement. Fulfill promises to 5 superstars. That'll come naturally. Book 25. That's to receive 3. Purchase all power cards before a show 5 times. That should come naturally. Book 10 tag team matches. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is going to come naturally, but things like advertisement promos and tables matches are probably going to be things that we need to focus on a little bit. Let's just book this with a table match. And then, I don't have enough money to book it as a table match. We are going to get our most popular... You know, I'm going to make our... I want to keep her popularity high. So we are going to have Charlotte do our callouts for a Liv. Liv needs to do a promo, so we're going to make her do the advertisement promo. And then Pete and Pat McAfee are in the mid card. I don't think I can't do all advertisement or self promos, so we are going to make them do advertisements. Again, I don't care about McAfee's popularity, so he is here to be a low cost advertisement sponge. So I'm hoping his popularity just dips, and I'll use him when he gets higher stamina anyways. And that's going to kind of help clear up a lot of this stuff. So we're going to book this show, see how well we do. This is probably... Ooh, use it or lose. Have a balance of exactly $0 after booking a show. Sweet, I got an achievement. All right, so we're just going to skip through this. It's not important. Skip. And so from this show, we booked a 2.0, a 0.5, a 1.5, a 2.0, and a 3.5. So not the best show in the world, but it isn't the biggest. This is going to bring me to my next point of my GM mode. The entire game is a marathon and not a sprint. You can have bad weeks. You don't have to put on bangers every single week. And also, even with that horrible booking, I'm only like 8,000 fans behind. That's literally one PLE that I can just skyrocket past that. So don't worry about it and don't stress yourself too much for it. So we did get our Netlook special card, and us even getting that right off the bat is a huge benefit. So we're going to go week 2. I'm not happy about losing Trap. You want to try and satisfy everybody as best you can. Josh cheated me. We're going to have that as a rematch. Sure, I can do that, Carmelo. Okay, so next thing is going to be reduced run-ins, and we can do that. But I think I'm going to play through some of this, and we'll skip ahead. All right, so week 2 we did Drew and Randy. We didn't have to go for a power card, so we were able to kind of push this a little bit better, crushing their opening. We still did our advertisements, trying to go for those trophies. Did a call-out promo for that as well. We have our weaker mid-card match right before our main event, so pretty good match overall. And we're at 31,000 fans from that versus their 31. I don't know how they gained the same amount of fans. Oh, promo. They did charity promos. So something to consider. We always have to do charity promos. I'm trying to save up for 100K, which we did manage to get from this. Drew, stamina's below 100 or 40, so he is vulnerable to being damaged. Usually if they're at 40, you just want to kind of put them in promos or let them rest for a week or so, because they will get injured and that'll hurt your plans quite a bit. Drew's a little disappointed in himself. Kamaro's happy against the match against Josh. So we did manage to do some of that. And so we'll go back and book this week. And we'll put Randy as a call out on Drew. Their stamina is 42 versus 34. He's getting kind of low too, so we don't want to get him too far down. So we're going to give Drew the week off, and then they'll pretty much be at the same power level. This is the show before the go-home show, so this is something we want to kind of set up. I don't really want rivalries past level 2 at this point, but level 2 rivalries going in is going to be fine. Flair and Morgan, they had good stamina, so they are going to be facing each other. Morgan's a little bit lower than I want as well. Asuka is going to be in here. This is probably my main event match. We will do our men's tag as well in the mid card. Have Dakota come in here, and probably we'll give them a break and let them kind of fight it off. We'll throw the IC belt on, or North American title. These guys are we're gonna just throw in oops, we're gonna do a self promo. And I need to do an advertisement promo. And I want to do a call out because I want them at 2 stars, so that way I can just keep building the rivalry until they get to a 4 on the following, like farther out. Now, one other thing you can consider doing if you have the money to burn is buying a under Talent Scouts, getting a higher cost stamina or performer. If you saved a lot of money, you can get an immortal just to be kind of quote unquote a ringer, and we'll go over that in a minute. I have some data that is very interesting for this set, and so this is the video will kind of skew a little bit more away from the gameplay to show off spreadsheets, which is my favorite thing in the world. But before that, first let's talk about logistics, because we have the money to do it. So logistics, the most important thing that you're going to struggle with in MYGM mode, especially on extreme and especially with lower budget, is money. So you want to do whatever you can to get more money as much as possible. And the first thing is going to be the arena. So if we look comparison, like let's compare the high school to the concert hall. So 2,000 capacity versus 5,000 capacity, $1.50 ticket price versus $2 ticket price. So we're more than doubling the amount of people that can come into our building. So that's going to be at least 3,000 more people at $1.50, but also $2 more, or $2 for a ticket price versus $1.50 for a ticket price. So if we do 2,000 times $1.50, that is only $3,000 that we get per show. That's not that much, and that's for our high school stadium. Compare that to 5,000 times 2. Well, that's $10,000. So would you rather have $3,000 a show or $10,000 a show? It's a pretty big difference. So we are definitely going to get the concert hall as soon as possible, which is typically on week 3. That's why I was saving up. I didn't really want to buy too many power cards, but we definitely needed to get that concert hall to give us an extra $7,000 a week to work with. Is a lot, and it adds up very quickly. So we're going to buy that. Some of these other logistics are important, but not crazy important. Like ideally, I want to get another wrestling center before I go to the wrestling center before anything else after this. Just because then we're bumping up our 5,000 capacity to 10,000 capacity. So now our $10,000 avenue is over $20,000. I didn't want to do the math. So pretty big. Road crew is probably the least amount important. It does unlock better things like match types and stuff if you're playing on default mode. But so like getting backstage brawl is pretty important. So you will eventually want to get to tier 3, but it's at a lower priority because you really can't even afford to make a backstage brawl match anyways. Basic effects, this is giving you extra fan base and is giving you a steel cage match, which is also super important. This is probably the number 2 thing you should unlock. It's pretty cheap. The problem is, even though it's cheap and you have the money, you have to wait each week to gain an assets. So this is something that's been added from 2K23 to 24. Was the addition of assets, where you need to every week you gain 1 asset, so you can't just skyrocket and build your best things if you just have the money to do so. Unfortunately, you have to wait week to week. I think that was just a way to balance out the gameplay a little bit so people weren't just going crazy hard on the amount of money they're spending. Email campaigns, this is another way to kind of generate extra money, $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, and it does unlock some more types, but it does improve show quality as well. Again, this is kind of ideally you want to always go for the concert hall because that's your big increase in money. This is an extra $1,000 a month again adds up, but it's not that big. And the 500 fans given from the fog effects and then 1,000 fans, those do start to all add up as well. So I would say that road crew is easily the least important thing to upgrade. After I get my wrestling center, I'm probably going to try and push for fog effects and then, advertisements to bring more people into those arenas, and then fog effects to get more fans out of each show as well. So I just kind of wanted to go over logistics, orders, and how you can do it. You should always check your power cards. These are all great, but I don't really have the money. I might get a fixed match, but I could get a fixed match, but I'm not going to worry about it. And so we're going to book that show. All right, so 4.5, 2.5, 3.0, 3.0, 4.0. So, well, you don't have to focus on getting that power card. You're able to kind of put on some pretty competitive shows, I think. We improved our rivalry to level 2. Level 2 rivalry here, level 2 rivalry here, level 2, everything's level 2 for the Go Home show. That's nice because we don't need to bump it yet. But this put on a good show. Their opener or main event definitely outperformed this one, unfortunately, by a good amount. So they're probably going to be ahead in fans still here. But again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. If they need to go ahead a little bit before us, that's completely fine. An extra 2,000 fans over us, that we can definitely make up with it this time. So Tyler Breeze, yep, he's about 10,000 fans ahead of us as we go into. This is the Go Home. Oh shoot, why are you? Not quite what I wanted right off the bat. I am going to say no, and okay, thankfully it's only a small decrease. Scarlett can put better promos. She wants a promo night. I don't think so, not tonight. So small decrease, that's fine. Okay, ensure your least popular giant is in a match. Okay, and so let's go with our champs here. We're going to put our champions on. Ooh, Liv is injured. Okay, we're actually not going to put that one. Charlotte can call her out. This will actually just mean that we can set up our better feud next. They are injured too. This is where Breeze is going to actually come in handy a little bit. I'm going to buy this, and we are going to make sure that they win so that way they don't get pissed off anymore. We are going to put our weaker people on here. It's our least popular giants. Going to do our least popular here. And then we are going to put... Are they injured? Yeah, they're pretty low as well. Let's do this at a... Do we have any bonuses? We don't really. I could use the Mega Powers on Liv this week, actually. Thought it would be better to use it on a jobber when their stamina is low, but it may actually be beneficial to do this because I'm going to be so behind. Let's do Mega Powers on Liv. Just give her that huge boost, 100, 100, 100. Yeah, and then we'll do this. And then... And let's get our men's tag division to do menial tasks. We'll do a advertisement promo because you have good popularity. You guys can probably just chill. Or, you know what? We'll do a tag team call out to try and build this rivalry for the show. And we'll let Oba rest this week. Okay. Now, this is a good opportunity for me to use my power card. This is probably where I would do it if I wasn't demoing out, but we're not going to do that here. And let's see where we land after this one. So 4.0, 4.5, 2.0, 3.5, 3.0, 4.5. So our main event and opener, amazing booking. We managed to go for this. Flair and Morgan went to a level 3, which is nice. Drew and Randy went to level 3 as well. So this all is pretty good. Hopefully we beat them out. Let's see, 69,000 fans here for the Go Home show versus 68. So we did manage to, and they did more charity promos too. So like we're only losing because we're not putting on charity promos. So that's going to give us this. And finally, where the important thing is the PLEs. So we kind of talked about how the go-home shows are. You're building up. You're trying to get to like level 2 rivalries onto that and then finish them off on the following week. Sonya is going to want some money. I want to get her for the rest of the season. 150. We'll give it. Yeah, that's fine. Just to get her for 5 weeks. Asuka, you are not going to be on my PLE anyways. I'm going to give you some rest. That's fine. Over the weekend, Oba got into trouble. What did he say? We're giving him 3 weeks suspension. Okay, that's a curveball, but that's fine. So Queen of the Ring. Okay. So here, these are the most important. These are pretty important. In fact, I actually recommend to actually play and win these matches and not just simulate them. If you're playing on extreme mode, because there are a few things that it's going to allow you to win, but I'm going to have to show you some extra information. So right here, I'm going to put, so in my experience, the star power of the person going in is one of the most important things, followed by their popularity, followed by their stamina. The game basically checks, because they're going to put up a SmackDown Superstar. So they're going to face some random SmackDown Superstar. In fact, we can scout it by hitting F1. Go to brand roster. We are going to, not best roster, we want next brand Z. So we can look in here and see who the most popular female is. Rhea Ripley is most likely who they would put in if they don't face Wendy Chu here. As their most popular, yeah. So likely their biggest chance to win would be by putting Rhea Ripley into this match against Liv Morgan. They're going to put they should always put like their most highest star power, followed by their most popular, followed by if they have the most stamina. And I will go over a bunch of examples that kind of support that star power is probably the most important. With Liv being 100 popularity and 92 stamina, I'm not sure how big of a difference this will make. So this is something that's going to require community exploration. We're going to go over some past examples for my first playthrough, and I'll show you who won and why I think they won. So Liv versus Tegan. We are both 10 superstars. I'm at 100 popularity and 92 stamina versus 58 and 56. There should be absolutely no reason that Liv loses this in theory. Okay, that's good. Everything was just more on her, skewed to her side. We're just going to not quick simulate this. Dakota and Sonya go in. Decent match. Promo. We got a call out. We got Pat and Pete in a table match. Pete wins that. Got a 3-star rivalry out of it. Cool. And a decent turnout. We got a lot of money from her, but she did lose some popularity. That's fine. Let's see if they get hurt. That'd be nice for me. But good match. Promo. Surprised they didn't put Rhea. I'm curious what would have happened if they put Rhea in the match. Just because she had more star power. Alright, let's see how this goes. We want Briggs or Orton. So, okay, this was a chase you. I should have went back and seen it, but that was probably because Orton had less stamina and he had more overall popularity than, yeah. So the theory of this is because Orton was below 40 stamina, Duke was able to outperform him. Even though that Orton is way higher on the star power, if we compare Duke versus Josh Briggs, Josh had less stamina and lower popularity compared to Duke Hudson. So it doesn't matter if you have a 25 superpower or 20 a superpower guy when his stamina is so low or their popularity is so low. Duke apparently gets the win on that one, which is fine. So I'm going to take it off. Let's see how this PLE finished. 102,000 fans versus 113. You do get a fan PLE victory bonus. You get 10,000 fans if you win per those main events. So those are huge. That was also the difference of what how's the ranking go. So they're ahead by 20,000 fans roughly now. So we managed to catch up a little bit, but we are definitely still behind. So I do want to go over some examples and past so I can help kind of beat in what you're looking for when you're putting those champions in, or the superstars into those matches. All right, so this was one of the first ones that I did. It was Sheena versus Lyra versus Nia Jax and Shotzi. So this was the very first PLE that I ended up doing. I put Nia Jax into this feud because I felt like, okay, well, she has my highest popularity. She's a high star. And I didn't know stamina would matter that much, but it definitely did. Lyra being slightly more popular than her, but because of that stamina difference, I think that Lyra winning this was expected. If we go over to, I'm going to skip that one because I don't have it. If we go over here, I put in Razor Ramon being at a 25 superstar was probably the biggest deciding factor here. Even though that I had Drew McIntyre, who was at 16 and 76 popular, he was more popular, had more stamina, and he was a 16. Razor Ramon still crushed it in comparison. So Drew won in 2 of the 3 categories, but because Razor was at a 25 star power, that's the one reason why I think that this one went through. If we look at this tag match, so there are going to be some times where you're going to tag with people from other brands as well. Natalya being at 100 stamina was probably a big thing. All of our popularity levels were pretty high, but because Becky and Natalya were both over 15 popularity, which is like the next little kicker, Isla Dawn and Naomi were kind of at a little bit of a handicap. But also I felt like because Becky was under 40 popularity, or 40 stamina, that Naomi may have been able to kind of crutch it out. But unfortunately, I think because Isla only was at 11 star power versus 16 and 17, it didn't really matter that Naomi was my put in. Unfortunately, the NXT guy kind of screwed me, and she was just too weak. Here was a pretty easy one, I felt like. So Bayley coming in, 15 star power versus Becky Lynch's 15 star power as well. Even though Becky was more popular, so we just saw this with the example we just did. Her stamina below 40 is a huge detriment, and I think that's why Bayley won this one. Bianca was also damaged and didn't have enough star power. Gigi was just not enough star power as well. So I think the game does prioritize who has the most star power. Are they over 40 stamina? How popular are they? And that is how it's kind of decided. If we look right here, this one kind of surprised me a little bit, but I think it came down to a team match because Omos is only 6 popularity. Where Jey Uso is 15. So it was a 20-20 popularity. Even though that they were CM Punk is under 40 stamina. In this tag match, Orton, I think, is able to kind of carry him. I definitely think that it was a blowout. This would have been a blowout, I think, for 2020. 64 pop, 78 pop versus my 70 pop. Omos kind of just screwed me hard, but also I wasn't even up to par either. Another one with Bayley. So Isla Dawn at 10, Bayley at 16, Piper at 10, Gigi at 7. Bayley being the most highest superpower, I don't know what they're called, star power, being over 40 stamina and also being the most popular. This is definitely an easy win for Bayley. In this one, I threw Gunther in. Randy Orton again being at the over 20 star power that's just kind of what set him up, I think, over this. Orton being at 70 popularity over Gunther as well. So because Orton is at 20 superpower versus my 15 and 70 popularity over 66, the stamina didn't really matter because he's over 40. I'm curious what would have happened if the stamina was below 40. I really want to find the data for this stuff. Bray probably could have actually beaten out on Gunther as well. So even if Orton was below damage, I think Bray technically would have been the other winner instead of Gunther, unfortunately. So we go over here, and I put in my Bayley, and Naomi ends up squeaking in the victory, and I think this comes down to popularity. So because we're both over the 15 line, Naomi and Bayley are over 15. because she's at 70 popularity compared to my 60, she gets the win here as well. Even though our staminas and everything is matched, just because she's just that much more popular than me. So this one, I almost forgot to screenshot. So I tried an experiment of putting in a ringer to see what would happen if I just hired Iron Sheik for a week and put him into the show. And Akira Tozawa is apparently the winner for this one. So I want to explore this one a little bit. So Iron Sheik, who is at 25 star power, versus Akira Tozawa at 15. Akira Tozawa has 5 more popularity than the Iron Sheik. So maybe it isn't just all about star power here. Akira Tozawa is actually the winner of this match. And so getting a ringer at level 25 doesn't seem to be a good strategy. I've only tried it once and saw that it backfired very poorly. So a little bit of a bummer, but good work for Tozawa, who's at 15 star power. So this is kind of one of the more outliers, so that kind of confused me a little bit more. But I think it's just maybe his star power was... I don't know if the game just registered that I've only had Sheik for a week or something, but Tozawa got this one. Jey Uso, 72 popularity, 17 versus my Drew McIntyre. He just managed to outsqueak me by... No, I was more popular going in. By like 3. But he had 1 more star power than me? That seems off. Maybe more the stamina came into a play more here, but Jey versus Drew and everybody else didn't really matter. Apparently, Jey gets the win on that one. This is Rhea again versus kind of Bayley. The other two didn't really matter too much. Bayley only had a 57 popularity versus the 69. Rhea 69 wins. Diesel. Okay, so this is another tag feud. So Kane, who's also kind of the ringer in this, who's at a 25, wasn't more popular than Diesel. So maybe popularity is a bigger impact than the star power, as we're kind of starting to see. So 88 popularity versus the 71. Joaquin was way higher, but I don't over like JD. I'm actually kind of surprised that this won. I would have really thought that Kane's side would have won, but I'm glad this showed up because it shows that the star power isn't as impactful as we may have thought. This is an after effect. I forgot to take the picture before. Kyrie wins this one, but if we just look back at this, so Kyrie winning doesn't really make as much sense because before this match, Kyrie would have had less stamina than Bianca because they all lose the same amount of stamina. Her star power was up by 1 in comparison, but I don't quite understand why Kyrie won this match, to be honest with you. Yep. We can go another example. There's Charlotte Flair winning 77 popularity over Dakota Kai. So again, this is kind of weird of like, okay, well, Dakota's more popular, but she's damaged. All right, finally, we want to talk about the trades and how this kind of works. So with trading... you are going to, especially if you're playing against AI, you're going to want to manipulate their AI as much as possible. And you can basically do this by taking exactly the amount of money you need for each of them. And what I mean by this is like, so I want to find a low stamina, high cost character I can basically sell off to Tyler Breeze here. I don't really have one that I would really realistically want to, but the reason is I'm trying to keep their money count low so they can't buy better logistics. And hopefully this, like, if I wanted to sell Briggs or something, like, or maybe I do something like, where's my lowest stamina? So Orton versus McIntyre, I don't actually want to lose that feud either. Pete's almost done. Yeah, like, so what if we did something like this where I'm going to do 1, 6, 6, and I'm going to find somebody who is just their cheapest on the roster. Chelsea Green, that's not bad. I think Chelsea, actually. She's got good stamina. This actually wouldn't be a bad trade. I mean, like, it's not high value trade, but if I'm screwing him over too, then I'm okay with, like, taking that hit. 149. Yeah, there's not much else I could do. I don't think he would say no to that. Unless I just do something different from Pete. I could do Pete and... Hold on a sec. We can be creative. Or try to be creative. So I'm trying to get as much money from him as possible. So if I wanted to do something like that for, say, Tiffany Stratton, we can kind of tally up this money. So this is about $270,000 versus 149 plus 166. So that's way too high. Okay, so I don't think they have somebody cheaper, so I may have to actually kind of go down on the money case. So, like, what if I did something like that? Yeah. So that way, now he's only going to be about $40,000. So that got me a new superstar with more stamina. That got him further away from their logistics. So just being able to trade and get those bonuses and get more money so I can spend on more superstars or getting better logistics, I think is very, very important. And so just kind of manipulate that trade system in your favor. AIs won't spend more than what they're worth, but they'll spend exactly what a contract's worth. So if you wanted to sell somebody for, if like their contract's $1,666, then you can put that in your opponent. The AI will pretty much always accept that trade, unless you've really pissed them off. And that's going to do it, guys. This was a very in-depth tips and tricks guide. I know this might not be exactly what you're looking for if you're hunting for very specific things, but I just felt like it's better to show you the more practical use of it all. If you want to see a full playthrough, that is my next project, so like and subscribe. I'm going to be hopefully posting that either today or tomorrow, and just getting that out of the way. We're going to do a full season, and I'm going to post those as quickly as I possibly can, just to get a whole season out of Extreme MyGM mode out as quickly as possible. And I'm going to be going over why I'm making the decisions on what I'm doing, so you guys can hopefully see the results for yourself. So if you want to see that kind of content, then like and subscribe. If you want to see the universe mode set up, again, a very story-driven universe mode I plan on making, I would love to do that and see how that goes. But anyways, that's all. I'm going to stop begging. Peace out, y'all.